Hi and welcome back to another deep dive. Enjoy the video. Also, major spoilers for the Percy Jackson series and the Heroes of Olympus series. Thalia Grace is a demigod daughter of Zeus and is one of the most powerful and determined demigods to ever exist, but she's often overlooked in favour of her cousins Percy Jackson and Nico D'Angelo, when in fact she impacted the story way more than people give her credit for. So that's why today we are going to dive into the character arc and the story of Thalia Grace. Saying that Thalia Grace had a difficult childhood is a heavy understatement. Her mother was a beautiful actress called Beryl Grace, who was at her highest point in her career, but then she became unstable after Thalia's father, Zeus, the king of the gods, left them, as most gods do, basically completely forgetting that Thalia and her mom even existed. Like if he'd forgotten enough about his mistake, it would just disappear. She became obsessed with the idea of being important to the king of the gods and kept pestering Zeus for eternal beauty or a visit to Olympus, and Zeus, tired of this, stopped visiting, only driving Beryl's mind more into madness. But when Thalia was 7, he revisited, and Thalia and her mother didn't even realise that he was in his Roman form instead. And 9 months later, Thalia's little brother Jason Grace was born. Since her mother had started to become an alcoholic, that left 8-year-old Thalia looking after her infant brother. And one day, when Thalia was 9 and Jason was 2, her mother decided to take her and her brother out for a picnic. And after Thalia got back from getting the picnic basket, she found her mother yelling and crying about her brother being missing. After her brother supposedly died, it was the last straw, and like some of the other demigods we've covered, she ran away, all because her dad couldn't stay around and her mother gave in to greed and obsession that ruined her and her brother's childhood. She lived on the streets running from monsters and danger for 3 years straight until she met her best friend, Luke Stolen. They made a little duo and would always make sure to protect each other from anything that threatened their lives. They travelled with each other for about 4 or 5 months until they met 7-year-old Annabeth Chase, who both Thalia and Luke became very protective over, and they both saw her as a sister. So their little duo became a trio, and all 3 of them were a family. They were not safe, but they were happy. They were in constant danger on the streets, and that's when Thalia's leadership and nurturing qualities really came out as the fighter of the group. Both her, Luke and Annabeth were good fighters, but Thalia, being a child of the Big Three and a child of Zeus, she could summon lightning and thunder to help her and her friends survive the monster attacks more easily. Eventually, they ran into the satyr Grover Underwood, who told them that the only way they could be safe from the monsters and the gods was Camp Applud. It was somewhere where they could train, meet other demigods like them, and be happy. But little did Thalia or any of them know what would happen as they climbed Half-Blood Hill. As they climbed the hill, they thought after everything they had faced and had to fight, they were finally safe. But they were swarmed by monsters called Furies trying to kill them. Thalia, in an act of bravery and selflessness, she sacrificed herself for her friends and their safety, so Luke and Annabeth could be safe, so Annabeth could grow up surrounded by people who get her and understand her. But her father, in a final act of pity towards his daughter, turned her into a pine tree so she could protect her friends and camp forever. She became a symbol of hope and safety, for when you were walking up Half-Blood Hill and you would see Thalia's tree and you would know that you were safe and that the monsters couldn't get you anymore. Years later, Luke, consumed by grief and anger, joined Kronos and then poisoned his former best friend's tree. So Percy, Annabeth and Tyson went on a quest to get the Golden Fleece to heal Thalia's tree and save the camp borders. But instead of just healing her tree, it brought her back to life. Thalia was alive, but she had to adjust to a new world, one that thought that she was dead and a courageous hero. She didn't feel courageous. She still carried her past, her dead brother, her unstable mother, and all of her trauma. She was back, but she came back changed. She felt betrayed by her best friend. She probably felt like she couldn't trust anyone anymore. Like she had thought that he was her closest friend, saw him as a brother, but he still betrayed her and Annabeth. A year later, after another quest, her sister Artemis invited her to join the Hunters of Artemis, which she accepted. It was the day before her 16th birthday, and the next day, she was either going to destroy Olympus or save it. I don't think anyone would want the literal weight of the world on their shoulders. Her whole life, she had zero control of anything, her family, her death, or even her fate. She had chosen her own path for once and decided what her life would look like. For the first time in her life, she was in charge of who she was and who she would be in the future. I think that Thalia Grace represents bravery and selflessness, but also having a bad home life or a rough childhood, and it shows that you can grow and become better from it. She was essential to the plot, and that's why I think she's my favourite character. Hope you enjoyed another one of my videos. I'm probably going to do Grover Underwood next, so tell me if you want that in the comments, and tell me, was Thalia underrated? Have a great day. See you later, chat boxes.